Hey, this is Brian. Ken Foray loves us. You should listen.
All right, so we're going to call our friend Dustin from Horroritis.
Yeah, Horroritis is a podcast, not a disease.
Yeah, it's he does a podcast on horror movies, and I think he has one come out every 2 weeks. And he's really into fantasy, urban fantasy.
That's the genre of which Nightbreed is representative.
Yeah, we're going to kind of refer to him as a little bit of a Nightbreed expert.
Got some questions.
All right, let's do this.
Hello?
Hello, Dustin.
Yeah.
Hi, it's John. How are you?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound good. So my name's John. I also have my two friends here, Brad and Brian.
Hello, Dustin.
Hello.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to let us interview you.
Yeah, no problem.
So we had a few questions about urban fantasy, and we actually just finished watching Nightbreed.
Oh yeah, what'd you think about it?
I think we kind of had varying opinions on it. There's a lot to it, I guess. There's a lot of production to it, and what were your thoughts on it?
I actually grew up watching that movie. The first time I saw it, I must have been like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, something like that, and I watched it at my aunt's house. And it's stuck with me pretty much ever since. It's been one of my favorite movies for, I don't know, a bunch of reasons, but mostly just because of the monsters. I really like the monsters.
That's cool. I was kind of reminded of Big Trouble in Little China. Did you ever make that connection?
Yeah.
A
lot of the, just kind of the, I don't want to say the goofiness, but kind of like the over the top type of stuff.
And the fact that it takes place, both of them takes place in cities, maybe that's what the urban fantasy aspect is?
Yeah. Well, urban fantasy, basically, it's, I guess the definition of it is it would take place in modern times, but with a secret world kind of beneath the world we know where all the fantastic stuff takes place. And that's basically the key element to having urban fantasy.
Yeah. There's an obvious psychological element too in this movie because he's seeing a therapist who I didn't really pick up on. Some of the dialogue was actually pretty hard to decipher for me, but it seems like the therapist wants him to believe that all these creatures are a product of his imagination.
Right. I think what it is he wants him to believe that it's all in his mind so that he can, write him off as crazy later, but still get to his ultimate goal, which I guess would be taking down the monsters and destroying the city of Midian at the same time. Yeah, and I wish they would have gone a little deeper into some backstory about why he hated the monsters and how he even learned about them in the first place. But we never really got that.
Yeah, Brad was saying that there might have been a comic that was also based on this, or the movie was based on a comic. Is that true?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that. If it was, it was another Clive Barker creation. He dabbles in, all sorts of mediums, so it very well could have been a comic. I know there have been comics since, but I don't know if this is actually based off of one.
Yeah, I think it might have been after the movie. There was like a comic book that took the story a little further. But I don't really recall reading them. So,
do you know where this movie takes place? Is it some of the driving scenes where they go out to Midian? It seems like it's Colorado or something kind of mountainous.
I can't remember. I probably should have refreshed myself on this, but really, I can quote almost every line from the movie, but I don't really know if they ever mentioned where it actually takes place.
So what's appealing to this movie? I mean, obviously you grew up with it and you had a personal attachment from your youth, but like
you obviously had seen it a fair amount of times to recall the dialogue. What do you find so appealing to it?
To me, it's kind of like it feels like a horror version of the X-Men. I mean, you've got all these different monsters, and they all have different abilities and different weaknesses, and they all kind of live together to protect each other. And I don't know, it just kind of almost like the same thing that draws somebody to the X-Men or superheroes like that. It's kind of like the same thing, but on a horror level.
Yeah, I had that thought when the little child shows Boone the past that the Nightbreed had experienced, and there were scenes of like what looked like the Inquisition, kind of like Christian persecutions, and then like Nazi.
The whole prophecy. Yeah.
So there's something there about the undesirables in society and all that sort of stuff that the X-Men taps into.
Yeah.
Don't you also write? Don't you write some urban fantasy or other types of fiction like that?
Yeah. I write horror and some urban fantasy under the name Grim Webster. Not huge or anything, but I'm out there if anybody cares to look it up.
No, that's cool. This is, until I had came across this movie, urban fantasy hadn't really come across my screen as far as other movies I'd seen, or I'd never heard of urban fantasy before. So it's an interesting sort of subgenre.
Yeah, I think most people who are familiar with it are more familiar with it in a novel form, stuff like the Dresden Files or Monster Hunter International, stuff like that, where you've got your regular world, but then just underneath the surface, there's this whole other level that most people don't even realize is there.
And the fact that the monsters are the good guys and the upper world are the bad guys, is that a consistent theme across the genre?
Yeah, actually, a lot of times you'll find that there's the monsters that you could call monsters, I guess. A lot of them will be good guys or be like average people. And you'll find if it's a good story, it'll be balanced out on both levels. You'll have both good and bad monsters, like you have good and bad people.
Yeah.
Well, I've also seen your podcast, the Horroritis. I think, how often do you have releases? Like, it seems like it's maybe once every second week or about that time frame.
Well, I tried to have one once a week, but here lately we've just got a lot going on, so I'm not as frequent as I'd like it to be, and so it's once every other week or so. I try to get one out, but ideally it's once every week.
Yeah, and it mainly focuses on horror movies. I think you do a little bit of sci-fi stuff, but it's mostly horror, right?
Yeah, when I started out, I wanted to introduce people to stuff that I grew up watching, all the really cheesy, campy 80s stuff with the rubber effects and blood squirting everywhere. And because the more I talk to people, especially I'm up in my 30s now, and I talk to people that are just coming into their 20s and they have no idea what I'm talking about. So it kind of started as kind of like a crusade to educate people. And then it just turned into, well, here's a movie you might like. And I just saw this, so you should check this out too. And it just kind of grew from there.
So where do you think this movie ranks in terms of urban fantasy? Is this like one of the top movies? I know you said a lot of it is in novel form, but I don't know if there are other movies like this.
I think, this one, I'm not entirely sure if it really ranks anywhere outside of diehard horror fans. I mean, most circles of people who are really into horror will know this movie, but outside of that, I don't think it really goes anywhere. I mean, even a lot of people in horror groups might have heard of it, but never really seen it. So, I mean, I think it's among the people who have seen it, it probably rates pretty high, but I think in general it's kind of a tough one to rate.
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys had any other questions for Dustin, or if Dustin had any questions for us.
No, nothing I can think of. I'm just kind of winging it with you guys. I didn't prepare at all.
Yeah, that's fine, because that's one thing that we don't do is really prepare that much. I mean, we attempt to, but we have trying to get three people together, even to meet in itself can be challenging. But it's definitely been interesting. I hadn't heard of that subgenre before, and it sounds like it's something that you have an interest in.
Oh yeah, it's probably one of my favorite subgenres. I mean, just because it can exist without horror and yet still kind of give me that sense of excitement that I always got from horror at the same time. So, I mean, it's kind of close to my heart in that respect.
Cool.
Well, that's very cool. All right, Dustin. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, fantastic. Talk to you soon.
See you later.
All right.
So that's Dustin from Horroritis.
Dustin.